This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to GoOnlineTrainings.com. So, we are discussing about T-SQL programming. We had seen how to create a variable and how to use them. And yesterday, we had seen how to write a program and how to centralize the program in the form of stored procedure, right? So inside a stored proc, you can have the programming. Programming means declaration of a variable, creating parameters, and all these things we discussed yesterday. Now we had seen how to create local variables and how to work with that. And let us understand today some more concepts, how to use global variables and what is a global variable and what is the advantages of local variable and global variable. Then we'll see some more things. What is if else and what is a loop, what is a return statement. So print is also, I think we had used. Okay. So programmatically, if you wanted to print something, so print means display something, then normally in the programming, we're going to be using print. In SQL, if you wanted to display the data, we normally use select. Clear? So then we also implement try catch blocks for the error handling. If you get any kind of an error, so we need to log something, right? So definitely try catch blocks are used to log the data something into the tables with the help of these blocks. And temporary tables and table variables. So temp tables already we know, and we also discuss about table variables and how can we use these temp tables and table variables as part of our programming. So so we can create these temporary tables or table variables inside your store procedures and functions. So how can we use them? Clear? So let me go back and let us see some more examples for using variables. Now, I wanted to, tell you how to use variables, and I wanted to give one more example here. So add 500 bucks to existing value. For example, if we have X is the money, so X is a variable which is storing, 100 bucks. Now I wanted to add whatever be the amount X is having plus 100. Clear? So that will be the X value. This is a simple example, right? So X value is 500, X value is 100 plus 500. You will be able to get 600 here. Clear? But if you don't write like this, if you say X equals to 500, then it will become X value is 500. Sorry, we need to declare this, right? X value is 500, but you're not going to add 500 to existing value. Definitely you need to add. So as we know already, we cannot execute one by one. It is not going to be executed like this. Clear? So as soon as the execution is over, so first what happens when you execute this program? So this is what is your RAM, right? Memory. In the RAM, what will happen? So X variable gets created. What is the size of the X? Size of the X is the money. Money is 8 bytes. Okay. So I know if you wanted to know it, just Google it. What is the money, data type in SQL? It'll show you in Google 8 bytes. Okay. So 8 bytes block will get created in the memory and 100 gets stored here and X value is already 100. X 100 plus 500 600 will be done because of this statement, and this 600 will get assigned. This is what is called equals to operator, or we can say assignment operator. Okay, so this is what is called equals to operator, assignment operator. So in this statement there are two things that you need to understand. The step number one is this. Step number one is we have 100. Okay, plus there is a 500 here. So the first operation would be 500 plus 600. That is the step number one. Clear? So after that, what will happen? After that, this 600 will get assigned to X. So whatever it is there, so this will get erased. So you will be able to keep 600 here. So assignment is the second step in this. Okay. So that's what you need to understand. So 600 will be there. You're going to be printing. So once the execution is over, once the execution is over, so this will get erased immediately. By whom? By operating system. Clear? So remember this. So variables are not permanent in the RAM. As soon as the execution is over, the variable will get automatically deleted or erased. Clear? So nothing will be there. So that you need to understand. Clear? So here we have two operations. So this is plus operation and this is what is called assignment operation. Assignment of operation means whatever be the data that you're going to be getting, this is going to be stored inside your X. Clear? So that's what you need to understand. So X value equals to 100 plus 500, 600. The 600 is going to be assigned. Clear? So 2, 6. So this is what is called assignment operator in this. Clear? So so what is here also this is what is called assignment operator. What is meaning? So X is a block and 100 is going to be assigned to X. Clear? So this is what is called assignment operator. In C language also you would learn this assignment operator. Am I clear? So be clear in this context. So whatever we are doing, you must know clearly. Now, if you wanted to swap two numbers, so I'm creating in number called 10 here and declare y equals to 20. So there is a shortcut to this. Instead of writing like this, nowadays people also writing like this equals to 10. This is also valid. So instead of writing like this, you can also put like this. It is also valid. Clear? So declare x integer equals to 10 means it is instead of writing set like instead of writing like this, you should be able to write like this. This is a shortcut way. So x is a what? X is a variable. X is not an integer. So people may ask you, what is the meaning of this? You cannot say x is an integer. So that is completely wrong. X is a variable which is capable of storing an integer. What is the statement? Okay. Y is an variable. So variable means it can store any kind of a data, but all integers data. Clear? So y is a variable which is capable of storing an integer. Clear? You cannot store multiple data in a single variable. So in any programming language, maximum a single value can be stored. So x is a 10 and y is 20. Now I wanted to show you x and 10. Then what I'm trying to use, I'm declaring one more variable called z. Clear? So y value I'm keeping into z, x value I'm keeping into y, z value I'm keeping into x, and I'm putting null here, and I'm going to do this. So if you wanted to swap two numbers, so this is what is your RAM, right? So it is what is your RAM in the memory. So what happens first? You are going to be getting, let me just, so what will happen? So first you are going to be getting X. Okay. This is what is called X. And you are going to be having Y, right? So X value Y and this is the 10. So 10 and 20 goes here. So I'm going to be printing the same thing because print X, print Y, it'll show you 10 and 20. After that, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create one more variable. So the variable name is called Z. Okay, Z will get created. Now Y value will go to Z. What is Y value? So this is the value will go here. So this will get a 20. Very good. Now X value will go to Y. X value is going to come here. Okay. So here it will become 10. The next step, Z value will come to X. So this is a Z. Z value will come to X. Okay. Now this is what is called 20. Okay. So after that, Z value make it to null. So Z, you are not putting anything. It is a blank. Null means a blank. Clear? Now what we are doing? So now printing x equals to 20, y equals to 10. So that is what we are going to be doing here. Clear? Now let me erase everything. You should be able to print x value, y value, and z value. Clear? So using one more variable, you should be able to swap the data and whatever be the variable that you're using. So there, you need to make it a null. Null means a blank value. Clear? So this is how you should be able to swap. This is one logic, but you can have multiple logics. Multiple logics can be written to swap the two values. Okay. So when you write C programming, so people are going to be teaching you this kind of a simple programs there. That's it. Okay. It's not very complex. So slowly when you do this kind of a programming, you will be able to definitely get advantages of understanding the logics and creating the programs. Now how can we use variables with queries, right? So SQL and T-SQL. So that is where I'm going to be using. For example, okay, variables are good, queries are good, but how can we use variable as well as our SQL queries? For example, I wanted to know what is my balance. Select star from the account master table. Okay, guys. So we'll make use of variables and SQL queries. Account ID is 101. Clear? So I wanted to get the customer ID as well as number of transactions the customer done in the last month or the current month. Okay. So sometimes, when you go to your banking application, so you install your Citibank application in your Android mobile or, Apple iPhone. So when you click on it, it will show you the latest transactions, right? So it will show you your name is Bhaskar Jogi and your latest transaction. So how can we get latest transactions? All the transactions are available in your transaction master table. So I wanted to get my transactions. So these are the transactions done by 101. But I wanted to get the current month data or last month data. So what can we do? So date, def, so and there is a dot. Okay. So dot, comma, get date is equivalent to 0 and this. What is the meaning? So when you say date def dot, sorry. Okay. So when you say date def dot is equals to 0, this is what is called current month data. Okay. So current month there is no data. I wanted to show you last month. Do we have any data here? In last month also I don't have any data. 2 months back, do we have any data? Yes, 2 months back or less than 2 months, last 2 months. Okay, this is the data, but I wanted to know, is there any data done by this fellow? Yes, why not? Clear? So tomorrow I wanted to display not only for one guy, for another customer. For example, I wanted to know what is the, who's the customer 105. This will be 105 data plus I need to take this value and I wanted to know what is transactions. Okay, I wanted to know. Clear? And apart from that, we wanted to print how many transactions he has done and how many cash deposits, how many cash withdrawals. Some things we need to display for this guy only. Okay, how many transactions he has done so far, how many cash withdrawals done so far. So we can create lot many things. For example, I wanted to know in last 2 months, okay, or let us say last 1 year. So if I say YY, it will be current year. If I say 0, okay, it will be 0 in the current year. So current year 105, what are the transaction has done? No transaction. In the last year means you need to give 1. Last year means 1. Okay. Now here I wanted to know number of cash deposits. Okay. So we'll say count star as number of cash deposits. So done in the last year. Last year means this one and by this fellow, and the transaction type equals to cash deposit, right? And so this is what is the query. Okay. So this query is showing you what is the name. This query is telling me any transaction done in the last year. Yes, I wanted to know number of cash deposits, number of cash withdrawals done by this fellow. Clear? So zero transact deposits, but I wanted to know what are this. Okay, so we can so zero transactions and zero this one. Have you seen? So you should be able to write multiple conditions like this. Now tomorrow I wanted to verify, let us say for 107. So I need to change 107 here. Okay, and again I need to change 107 here because I wanted to know number of transactions done. So I wanted to know again, for the same guy 107. So I wanted to supply a single value. I wanted to supply a single value multiple places in multiple queries, right? So multiple queries I should be able to supply. If in this case, what is that we can have? So instead of supplying number here, number here. So if you create a simple declare a variable, declare at the rate account ID. What is account ID? Account ID, we are going to be supplying account ID data type is integer. Okay. So, and I say set at the rate account ID is equivalent to 101 or 107. So this account ID, I am going to pass it here. I am going to be passing here. I am going to pass the same thing here. Now, what is the advantage of a programming? So reusability is going to come, right? So now instead of giving 107 hard coding and 107 hard coding, 107 hard coding, so it will be problem. So what I can do, I will be able to supply here and execute like this. Now, so tomorrow I wanted to know. So let me write. Let me remove this. Let me keep a group by class. Okay. So transaction type wise, number of things that these people have done it. So number of transactions. Clear? Now you should be able to know. So here's the billing, and she has done these many transactions, and so it is the last 1 month, right? We're talking about last 1 year. So it is last 1 year. So how many transactions they have done it? So we need to execute from there to here. Okay. So these many transactions is done a total 17, 9 cash deposits and 8 cash withdrawal. So this complete data I wanted to display. Okay. So I wanted to supply some variable data. So one is this, second one is this, third one is this, right? So you are going to be creating like this. Now, if I close this, what will happen? If I close this window, if I have written beautiful queries, query number one, query number two, right? Query number three, total three queries are there. So can I make use of these queries multiple times? Reusability? Yes, you can do that. If you close this, the queries are gone, right? But how do I make it centralized? Clear? So that is where we can use what is called as a programming, what is called as stored procedures. So this is what is the programming. Declaring a variable is a programming, right? So I wanted to create a stored procedure. Use iBank. Clear? Because we cannot use a view, because a view cannot have a programming. View cannot have this kind of a input parameter, and view cannot support three queries at a time. In a single view, you cannot. Only one query can be written. Am I clear? Now I wanted to create a stored proc, create a proc, and user stored procedure and get transactions. And I wanted to give as begin for and at the end. So you need to press tab so that the code is going to go inside. Clear? So as begin and at the end you need to write end. That's it. So creating a procedure is very easy. So these lines only you need to write. Why are we writing this code inside the store procedure? Because I wanted to reuse the code, and I don't want to hard code by declaring a variable. So this I'm going to be deleting, and I wanted to convert a input parameter. So input parameter means without declare, you need to say account ID integer. So what is this? So USP get transactions is a stored procedure which is going to be accepting one input parameter. This value has to be, supplied at the time of executing a store procedure, and whatever be the value that you supply, that is going to go here, that is going to go here, that is going to go here, and these three lines will get executed, and you should be able to get the data. So this is how you should be able to understand and create a stored procedure. Let me create a stored procedure like this, and stored procedure is created, right? Once you create a stored procedure, you can also delete this code. Nothing will happen. You close this because the code is centralized. Where you go to iBank database and refresh, you should be able to know your code as part of here. So what is the code that is there? Get transactions. If you wanted to see the complete code, right click on this, say modify. Clear? Right click on this and get modify. You can just delete these three lines, and this is what is your code. It is going to show you with the alter. Clear? So this is one way you can see the code. The other way to see the code, you can also use sp underscore help text and stored procedure name inside this. Okay. What is the stored proc name? So this is the one. Control C and Control V. So let me execute it. So this is going to be giving you stored proc name. Copy. Click on this corner. Click on this corner. Copy the code and paste it here. Control C and Control V. This is a stored proc that is been created, and you are seeing all this data clearly. Clear. So what is the load inside the stored procedure? The load is it is executing query number one, query number two, query number three. Now you tell me, many people will say me, sir, stored processes are very complex. Now tell me what is complex in it. You are writing these four lines and these lines, and the complexity involves here. You should know what is a group by clause, what is a where clause, and extra only one thing that you should know, what is the input parameter. That's it. So stored procs are not very complex. What is complex? You don't know how to write queries, because stored procs end of the day will have insert, update, delete statements only. Stored proc is not going to have anything else. Extra one thing that you need to learn, that is a creating a input parameters. That's it. Clear? So that is what you need to understand. So stored procs are not very complex. Many people will tell me, sir, declaring a variable is a confusion for me. Sir, what is the input parameter is confusion for me. So nothing. Input parameter is confusion for me. So nothing. Input parameter means if you wanted to supply some data, so that can be possible with the help of this fellow only. Clear? So this is the, it looks like a variable only, but it is going to be taking the data from the customers, from the client applications. Clear? So that is going to be displayed. It is going to be created in the RAM again. Clear? So a box get created, and so whenever you execute the stored proc, this is what is the RAM, right? So where is the RAM available? RAM of the server, right? Not the RAM of this. Okay, in the RAM, because this will get executed in your, so this is available in the server, right? In the server. So the client application will say execute proc name. So when you say execute proc name, so this will get created inside the server side. Server side, there is account ID will get created. The client application, for example, you go to ATM and you put your ATM card, debit card, credit card. So ATM machine is going to be reading the account number from the card. Okay, that will get stored where in the client side machine, clear, in ATM. But ATM should not give that account number, so that has to go to the server because the data is available in the server, right? So the account number is going to be sent to the server. The server will create, so a parameter, and whatever be the the value that is going to come from the client, it will get stored here. Okay, so 101, so that will go here, then that will go here, and that will go here. Clear? So there is a client application is going to call the exec. It will say exec stored proc name, and so whenever you give your account number is 101. So these three lines will go from where to where, from client to the server. Okay, so it is going to be calling the stored procedure, and the stored procedure will create this block. Okay, in this block, whatever be the value that is going to go, that is going at the time of calling the stored block, this value will be stored in this. Now, this value will get executed, will be given to this at the time of calling. That's it. So then you are going to get the data. So this is how you need to understand. Clear, client application is calling the stored procedure. So what is the advantage? Reusability. Many number of times I can call, many number of times I can give different values. I may give 101, new customer comes, new customer account number may be 105, and then another customer account number may be 106. So you go to the ATM, you give your card there and put the the secret password and everything. So later the transactions are going to happen. So what is the the advantage of a stored proc? Can be called multiple times. The create ones can be called multiple times from the multiple machines, multiple servers, right? Multiple clients actually. Clear? So this is what is the reusability of the code. Create once, and the stored proc is available in the server side, and the client application may be Android application, Java application, SAP application, .NET, Angular JS, Python, X, Y, Z. All these applications are called as client applications only. So how the client and server is going to communicate? Maximum time, client is going to be calling a view, client is calling a stored procedure, client machine is going to call a what? Client machine is going to call a function. Remember, the client machine and server machine are going to be communicating via by calling a view, by calling a stored procedure, by calling a function. So how the calling is done in the client machine in the Java and .NET? Very simple. For the stored procedure, we'll say exec stored proc name and input parameter. For the views, if you wanted to call in the client machine, so select star from the view name. If you wanted to call a function, select function name. Clear? So that is how the communication is going to be happening. Clear? So always you need to understand, writing a stored proc is very easy. Understand the requirements. What is that they wanted to have? They may ask you, okay, you are always giving me only 1 year data, but now I wanted to know last 2 years data. How do you modify this? How do you modify? Because it is going to give me always last 1 year data only. I wanted to know last 2 years of data. So how do you do? So then you can make this as a you know uh, input parameter. You can have alter. So I wanted to have for which account I need to get the data, for what is the duration I would like to get the data, tenure or the duration or the time period. Okay, tenure integer, or I can say tiny int. Tiny int means it is going to be 1 byte and getting 0 to 255 positive numbers. Okay, so this is one input parameter. This is one more input parameter. So there is a comma and there is no declare, so I'm going to be altering. So the tenure I'm going to be taking, and instead of writing one is hard coding, I will be able to keep like this. So I will be able to keep like this. So that means the customer may give you, I wanted to have either 1 year transactions, I may supply two, I may supply three, I may supply four. Clear? So that's it. So this is one parameter. This is one more parameter. Now I wanted to supply, and you can just delete that. If you wanted to see the code, you can just write this and go copy, and you should be able to paste it. So this is the latest code. Now two parameters. Parameters what? Whatever the customer wanted to supply at the time of executing a stored proc. Clear? So for example, you go to ATM machine. What is that you supply? First you put your debit card and you say ATM card pin number is blah blah blah. So then the machine is going to be reading your card and get the account number. One input is gone already. Second input, I wanted to know 10,000 rupees cash or $10,000 cash. The second input you need to give what is the amount that you wanted to withdraw. That is the second amount. Clear? So like that, so you can have multiple inputs. So you can give, right? So in this context, I'm supplying to, I wanted to call this. Now, if I wanted to call this, so how to call, and the client application said, call a stored proc is very, very simple. Exit stored proc name is this, right? Stored proc name, control C and control V, and the first, who's the, what is the account number? So for example, 101 comma, there is a comma here, you also put the comma. So tenure last 1 year transaction you wanted to see, last 5 years you wanted to see, that number you can write. Okay. So this is the call is going to be coming from the client side. Client means you go to the ATM or you open your ICICI Bank application or Citibank application in your laptop. So you open a website, right? You open a Citibank website and you go inside, and there is a button, get latest transactions. That's it. So when you open, automatically your number is taken that you don't know. Okay, your number is taken, and it will ask you how many years of data you wanted to see it. So this will get executed. Now that's it. So it's applying 101 last 1 year, or I wanted to know 2 years back data. Okay, I can give 2 years back data. So say 2 years back, I did not do last 5 years. 5 years back, did I do any transactions? So I did not do any transaction. So this we can say. So two, one. I wanted to see the current year data. Current means zero. So current means you need to supply zero. So any transaction done in the current year, no transactions done. Let me show you some data by adding some numbers. Okay. So update transaction master. All these things you should do it. Set transaction date DOT equals to current month 2021. So 20. Okay, where account ID is equivalent to 101. Okay, so all the, wherever there is a 101, so it will get modified to this. I don't want to modify the complete data. So select star from few rows only. I wanted to modify, not all the data. Now where log, let me control C and let me control V. Only some transactions I wanted to modify. So these many things. So transaction number 815 onwards, I would like to modify. So transaction number greater than 814. Okay. So 814 is not there. 815. So this data will get modified. Okay. So I'll write in this in the where clause. Okay. If I execute, I will get this data. So I'm going to be supplying, updating these three records. Clear? So if I execute now, I will be able to see, you know, 101 in the current month. Okay. So this is the transactions that they have done it. So only cash deposit is done. So like that, you should be able to have some data transaction. When you execute, you should be able to see for 101. So you have total how many transactions? Total one, two, three, three cash and one this one, right? Total four. So when you execute like this, current year for 101 only, right? So for 101, so I wanted to get, so it is showing only cash deposit. Why cash deposit? We have to get, because here if you wanted to put 0 and 101, this data is going to go there, right? You're supposed to get, why only one cash deposit? If you wanted to see the data, let me execute this data. This is how you need to debug. So only one I'm getting. Why not? We have done lot many transactions, right? What is the issue here? If you go to the end, only one transaction we have done. But if you see, okay, one transaction only it is showing after 814. Let me include one more thing for this, okay? Let me do it. Let me update some more things, okay? So transaction number, let me say account ID is equivalent to 101. Let me update one by one, okay? Few more. It is not getting updated. So 817, let me update it. So DOT, oh, something is getting update. Let me see what is that is being executed. There's a trigger, I think it is automatically getting executed. Let me check the data here. Now you can see one more guy is able to get it. So let me check. Let me update a few more things. Okay, 819 and 820 also. 819 and 820 also. I wanted to make it. Okay, so transactions been done. Now let me execute this prog. Okay, so how many transactions these guys have done? Cash deposits only done. Clear? So I have some data. Whenever I'm making any change, if you see carefully, there are three things are going on because I have few triggers on the tables. Okay. So if you wanted to see the trigger on the table, you go to the table and you can see the triggers here. Okay, so these triggers are doing something. Let me delete these triggers. Because of this only, the modifications or updations are not going on. Okay, so triggers are just like a stored procedures only, but triggers are used. Okay, triggers are used to validate the data. Triggers are called as automatic stored processes. Automatically, the program is going to be called. Clear? It is not, manual. Manual process is not there to call. Clear? So here I'm going to be calling manually, right? But triggers just like a stored procs only. Triggers are going to be validating the data. Clear? So on top of a table, you have a primary key, foreign key, check consent triggers, right? Like that, if you go to table, you have a primary key, keys, constraints, and triggers and indexes. So on top of the table only, you will have everything. So, but if you wanted to write a program, so you have a stored procedure and function, and that's it. And you have one more concept is called views. Clear? So if you wanted to centralize the code, so these are the things that you should be able to write. Clear? Now, what is going on? If you see carefully, I wanted to supply these values. Clear? So I wanted to know what are the transactions this fellow has done, this customer number one has done in the 1 year, last 1 year. Current year means zero. So this is how you should be able to create a stored proc. Clear? So who's going to be creating stored procs? That is we. We are called as SQL developers, SQL programmers, right? So who's going to be calling our stored procedure? .NET developer, Java developer. So that this is the one they are going to be calling inside their programming, right? They create saying that they wanted to show some data into the portal, right? So they'll say last year transactions or current year transactions, or you want to show the transactions. Get my transaction is the tab. Okay. If you open your website, get my transaction. So click on that. So it will ask you, tell me, your account number. Tell me the tenure in which, what is the period from which you want to supply the data or you want to take the data. So all these things are completely input parameters to the stored procedure. But this client application is going to be calling this proc only. Clear? So that's what. If tomorrow, whatever be the reason, client client may supply a wrong account number. For example, client wanted to given 1234 years is the wrong number, right? So this is what you get it. So client is not aware that he has supplied a wrong number, but a program, your computer has to tell to the customer. Customer means that is me. I went to the bank, go to the ATM machine. I put my some wrong card there, and the machine is reading that card. But that card number is completely some other card number, but you're trying to put it in some other machine and try to say the computer has to tell you this is invalid card number. Clear? Because the 1234 customer is not there. So how do you know? Uh, whether a given number is perfect or not. When you supply 1, 2, 3, 4, if you don't get any data, you get some data means this account number exists, right? This one exists. You're getting a lot of data here, right? So you have to go to, sorry, not this table. You have to go to account master table. When you go to account master table, if the account is there, you will get a minimum one row. If you put, 106, you will get a minimum one row. If you put one wrong value, you don't get any data. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use if condition. Clear? If exist function already we spoken about. If you get some data from this query, are you getting any data? So no data. Okay. If you get some data, if exists, you will be able to get some data. So you don't get any data, it will become false. Okay. If you get some data, for example, if you put 101 here, it will give you some data. So that means this this will print you one row. Because of at least if you have one row, this function will become true. Then you can say print customer number is valid. Else print customer number is invalid. It is a simple logic you can do it. Okay. So customer number is invalid. Okay. Now let me execute this. Customer number is valid. Have you seen this? Now this is the two lines of code. If you supply some wrong number here, so now you see customer number is invalid. Why invalid? Because you don't get any rows. Okay, if you get at least one row, the exist function will become true. So if this is a true, this line will get executed, else this line gets executed. Clear? So this is the logic that I wanted to implement. Clear? If the customer is a valid customer or not, so this I can use a programming only. Now see, If else is a programming, right? So without if and else in a SQL, you will not be able to write this kind of a statement to the clients, okay, to the your a client. For example, your mother goes, she is putting the wrong number, so server has to tell, the machine has to tell you are putting a wrong number. So this can be achieved with the help of a programming only. If and else is a programming, okay. So that is what we're talking about. If and else I'm using, so we'll talk about global variables later. If and else I'm using here. Clear, guys? So without the programming, without variables, without programming, definitely you can write a program, but not, the programs which are, used by any non-IT person like your mother, my mother, and my father. They are completely unaware of computers, right? But the program has to tell whatever be the card that you're insetting, that is wrong card or wrong account number. So if you have if and else variables, so the way you write is completely amazing now, because only SQL will not give you this kind of a things. When you include variables, parameters, plus this kind of a if and else clauses and exist. Say exist already, we know. If I already anybody can learn if and else. That's it. Implement that. Okay. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to take this code, Control X, mid cut. So I wanted to alter it, and the first one I'm going to be verifying. I write a comment. What is the comment I'm going to be writing? Check account ID. This is the first one. So this is the code I'm going to be writing. Clear? So make sure you should not hard code. So what is that? Whatever be the account number that they are giving, that will come here. Okay. If everything is fine, means customer number is valid. Okay. So what I'm trying to do, so customer number is valid. I say begin, and the customer number is valid. Now you say end. Okay. So if everything is proper, I should be able to write some code here. Else I have to write this code. So I take 1, 2, 3 lines of code from here. I should be able to write in this block. Okay. So I want to write in this block. So make sure, this is printing. Now after the printing, I'm saying this, you get it. Now the next one, you need to properly do the indentation, because coding is, anybody can write the code. I told you, right? But you need to writing neatly write the code. People can understand what this guy is doing. Clear? People should be able to understand very, very neatly and easily. So write the code like this. If everything is true, means you're writing like this, else you die like this. So when you have a single line, begin end is not available, not needed. We have only one line, so begin end is not needed. But if you wanted to write begin and end, there is no problem. Clear? Since it is only one line, you need not implement. But still, if you wanted to implement, means you should be able to implement begin and end. Clear? So since I have four lines, the first line, second line, third line, fourth line, if we have multiple line means, so in this case, you should be able to implement if you write the complete code, else you write the complete code. If everything is there, this number is valid, and you're going to be doing. So this need not be, shown. You can just comment it, because if it is everything is fine, this blocks will execute. If not, this blocks will get executed. Now, this is how you should be able to write your code neatly. Clear? So this begin comes here, this begin ends here. So this begin comes here, this begin ends here. You need to write beautifully. Now it is how many lines of code? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 lines of code you have written. It is a simple program. Clear? So now people will say this is very, very complex. It is not very complex. What is exist? Already we know what is. If everything gets added, already we know what is this. Is at least one row. this will become true. That means this account number is existing. That means it will display this data, else it will display this message. That's it. So execute this, alter this. Okay. After altering, so something is oh, I think this is the one. Right here, I need to write. This is one thing has to come here, and the group by transaction type, number of transactions that they have done it. Right, is not this, and count star, number of transactions. Okay, so this is the complete logic that I have created. Now you can bring this group by class here. Okay, so this is the first query, second query, third query. Now this is going to tell me number of transactions. Number of transactions, blah blah blah. So this also tenure, right? Tenure also we're supplying. We should not give like this. And this is one more query. I want to have it. So everything is fine now. Let me alter this. Okay, now it is getting altered. Now, if I give you some wrong number and give the tenure is zero, now it is telling me customer number is invalid. Have you seen this? Customer number is invalid. So this you should be able to achieve with the help of simple parameters, simple exist function, and if and else clause. This is what is called a programming. This is what is called a programming. If everything is smooth, if everything is smooth, you should be able to get 101, last current year data. Zero means what? Tenure is zero, so zero is going to go here. It is current year data, so that I wanted to get it. When you execute it, you are going to be getting current year, these many transactions done by 101. So 101 last year means one. So this is how you should be able to execute. You should be able to execute what last year. So these many transaction done by this value. And if I say 171, do we have 171? This account is not there. This account is what? This account is invalid. Clear? This account is invalid. So you should be able to write all these things. Clear? So all these things need to be verified clearly. So this is the programming that is done. And how many lines of code you are writing? You're writing more than three, and you're writing and trying to use the stored procedure. So can I write the program inside view? No. Views are do not support parameters, no programming, only one query is allowed, no if and else statements are allowed. So definitely views are already failed. If there is, if you cannot use a view, then the next one is you can go in for functions only. You can go in for a stored procedures only, or you can go in for a function. Either you can use stored procedure or a function. But when should I go in for a stored procedure? When should I go in for a function? That we can discuss later. But definitely to centralize your code, and if you wanted to implement a programming, so definitely as of now, you can go in for a stored procedure, but not with the view. We have views already studied, right? If not, please study. I have given you the views sessions already. Please watch them. Clear? And don't say that I do not know about views. Clear, guys? So this is how you should be able to write simple programs. Clear? So this is what is your stored procedure. Now, even though you close the stored procedure, you need not worry, and you can simply go back and get the complete stored proc anytime. Okay, anytime. And if you wanted to see all your stored procedures, okay, people may ask you, get all my stored procedures. If you wanted to see all of them, there is a query, select star from the sys.procedures. Okay, this is a system table that is going to be giving you all procedure names in your current database. Current database is iBank. So these are the stored procs. Total 25 stored procs have been created. Clear? So every stored proc will have a ID, right? Every table has a id, every man has a id, every room has a id, every building has a id. Like that, every table has a id, every stored procedure has a id. The id is a unique number or a primary key. This is called as an object id. Clear? So this is a user defined stored procedures. Clear? If you wanted to know stored proc names, you can say like this is the stored proc name. If you wanted to drop all the stored procedures, what I can do? I can simply say plus means concatenation. I can write like this: drop proc and proc name. So you see, you will be able to get a this kind of a syntax you can generate. See now. So for example, I wanted to drop this, drop a proc name. So I wanted to drop. I would like to drop this. So whatever you wanted to drop it, so that can be, you should be able to drop very, very easily. Clear? So whatever you wanted to drop it, you can drop it. Okay. So for example, I would like to drop this test. I would like to drop this. So whatever you wanted to drop it, you should be able to drop them. So all of them, so I should be able to drop them. So whatever you wanted to add, so that you can easily drop. Clear? So whatever you wanted to drop it, you should be able to drop it. Okay. Now see the stored procs star. So how many stored procs you have? You have now 15 stored procs. Clear? So that is how you can have whatever you wanted to do it. So so it may execute. So all these things very, very easily. So drop a proc name. That's it. Drop a proc name is going to be deleted one by one. That's it. Clear, guys? So if you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, that's fine. Clear? So we discussed about a stored procedure, and we had seen only one thing, that is what is called local variables. Okay. Now let us talk about global variables. Global variables are system defined variables. You're not going to create these variables. Clear? Let me show you what are these global variables. Let us understand. These variables are given by SQL Server, by Microsoft itself, created using at the rate symbol, already declared with values, read-only variables. We can only print or select the data from the variable. Clear? So you need not create this variable. These are already defined. So if you wanted to use the data from there, you can use it. For example, I wanted to know what is my SQL Server version. You can say at the rate version number. This is the global variable. So if you wanted to know what is the SQL Server version, you can say select at the rate version. I am not declaring this. I am not declaring this. My version is this version. You can copy this and open Notepad and you paste it. What is the version that has been installed in my computer? So this is what is I have installed it. So this is the version I have installed, 2019 RTM version, and evaluation copy 64 and Windows 10 I have installed. Clear? So global variables are read-only variables. Already the variable is there, and only you can see the data from there. Clear? For example, if you want to have a water, either you can buy a water, so or you can buy a bottle, put the water and drink the water. So everything is done by you. That is the local variable. You declare a variable, you put the value, you use the value. Okay. You buy a empty water bottle, you clean it and you put the water, you drink it. So everything you're doing. So there is a water station, there is a water bottle supplied by your college, so you need not go there. Their water bottles are already kept there. That means what? You simply go there and drink the water from the water bottle. If you go to any function, you are not going to carry a water bottle. Already water is available there with the bottles. Just go there and drink it. So those are called global. Global means you're not declaring them, you're not buying them, you're not filling them. Simply you're drinking the water. Water is already available in the water bottle. So that is what is called a global variable. Global variable means you're not going to be buying, cleaning, putting nothing. You go to the function, the water is ready in the bottles. That is called a global. Somebody is putting, who somebody here, Microsoft is giving you some variables with the data, some water bottle with the data in a function, right? So those are called global variables. Global means anybody can use it, but it does not, you need not create them. Clear? So for example, I wanted to know what is the version of the SQL Server I have installed. So this is the version we have installed. Clear? So that is what is the thing. Command you should know. You should use it. This is global variable. Always you need to use at the rate version. You should not give space. I had seen many people are calling me, sir, it is not working for me. Space is not going to work, and it is not version. And I wanted to know what is my computer name, what is my SQL Server name. So, so print at the rate server name. So when I execute, my computer name is Kedar. My SQL Server instance name is Kedar. So server name means I'm talking about SQL Server name. So what is the instance? What is my SQL Server setup name? Is Kedar. Have you seen this? Now these are the commands that you can use it. At the rate is one more global variable. It returns zero if previous SQL statement is successful, else returns non-zero. So if everything is smooth, it will give you zero. So green flag. Else it is going to be giving you some other non-zero. So then it is a red flag. Clear? So for example, I wanted to execute this. If this could be insert, update, delete. So when I execute, if everything is successful, then I'm going to be getting zero. That means the above statement is successful. This statement is successful. If there is a wrong name I have given, so this table is not available, so this will become non-zero. So the above statement will fail syntactically. Invalid object name. If you go here, you're going to get 208. So what is this? So it is the above statement is failed. So where can we use all these things when the communication is happening? For example, I have given a work to the stored proc. Stored proc is failing somewhere. So I am assuming that if everything is zero, if everything is properly happening, stored proc has to give me a zero indicator. Means everything is getting executed. If there is a problem, then stored proc will give me non-zero. To whom? To the client. Client means ATM machine, right? So the communication is happening from server to the client. That is fine. But when both of them are doing some work, for example, I had given you one work saying that you buy some apple. I am not interested in whether you get apple or not. I wanted to know whether did you reach a shopping mall. If you say zero, yes, zero means done. I'm fine. So that step is done. So then you went to are you able to buy apple? Now you say non-zero. That means you have reached the market. The next step, you wanted to buy but non-zero. Why you're not able to buy? I'm not interested. But there's a problem because of that you did not buy apple. What is the problem? Apple is not available in the shop. Clear? So I wanted to know step by step indication. So where is the issue? So zero shop, you have select statement one, select statement two, select statement number three. And after that, I wanted to know, I need to get a zero. So the client application wanted to know, okay, first step is executed, client application will get a zero. Second step is executed. What is that? So stored proc supposed to buy an apple, so it is failed because the shop does not have an apple, right? So it is not able to buy, right? So when something is not available, then I can take a decision. What I should do? Okay, if something is not available, you come out. We cannot do anything, right? The execution can be stopped from there and you should come out. Okay, so if you give one or two works to the stored proc, and the client should know which step is going on, which step is failing, because buying an apple contains three steps: go to the shop, pay the amount and get the data, and come get the data and give the data to the apples to Bhaskar sir, right? So now all these things have to happen. Then only the complete buy apple is a transaction that is successful, right? But you may have any kind of an issues. You're going with a bike, you met with an accident. Now what is happening? So the step number one is failed. You will get a non-zero. Clear? So anything can go wrong. How can we capture that issue? And where is the issue? That can be captured with the help of error. So if you write a line, immediately write this line. So if the at the rate error not equals to zero, that means it is, and equals to zero, that means the step is successful. Then go to the next step. Like that, we are going to be implementing these things into our stored procedures and our programming. Clear? Because you cannot say you write complete code line by line. This is anything can go wrong, right? If something goes wrong, client application should know what is the issue in that step. Clear? And the client application also should track the steps, because we have created three steps right in the previous stored procedure. But any step may fail anytime. So I wanted to stop the program there itself. For that purpose, I wanted to use at the rate error for each and every query. You write a query, you write this. So we are going to be implementing this later in our stored procs, and we have at the rate row count. It returns number of rows affected by the previous statement. For example, when you execute, do you know how many rows you get it? We don't know. Let me execute. We got 13 rows. I wanted to get this number. So that number is captured automatically in this. You know, total 13 rows are affected. If you wanted to update some data, how many rows got updated? So that count will be available in this. Clear? For example, if you get complete data means you're able to get 64 rows, right? So what is the count? The count of rows I'm getting 66. The same number is available here when you execute it. Clear? So see 66. So when you execute any query, if you're able to get some data, that means the above query is successful. You're able to get some data. For example, if I give you some account number where account ID is 1234. Do you have this account ID? No. If you don't have account ID, this will become zero. That means what is the this one? If the row count equals to zero, then you can implement this number is invalid. Okay, so this is also one more statement. Okay, if this is you are able to get one row and you are able to get one row if the at the rate row count equals to zero, then you can say the number is invalid number. Instead of writing if exist blah blah blah, you can also use at the rate row count. If it is zero, the above query is not fetching any data, not retrieving any data, means this is a completely invalid number. If you have invalid number like this, row count will become zero. At the rate row count. So using this variable, you can know how many rows fetched by the previous statement. It could be select or insert or update or delete. So how many rows got updated, how many rows got deleted, how many rows got inserted, how many rows got retrieved. Clear? So that count is available in this. So programmatically, we are going to be using them as well. Clear? So I wanted to know wherever C balance is 6,000, you update it to 5,000. But how many rows got updated? How do you know? You need to, get the count like this. Now it will give you zero. So I can say wherever there is 6,000, wherever there is a 10,000, make it to 6,000. Okay. So now I wanted to know how many rows got affected. So total 5 rows got affected. Have you seen this? So like that, whether this statement is updating anything or not, you will come to know. So 0 rows means this criteria does not match. This criteria does not match, you don't have anything to update. So like that, we can easily say if the count is zero, the row count is zero, then you can say this is not successful because it is not able to update, because this condition is not there. So nowhere the balance equals to 10,000. So like that. Clear? So see now, I am doing something, and if I am getting row count equals to zero, the above statement is failed. if if the above statement is successful. Clear? So when you execute, because this account number is not available, right? We have, when you go to message, now you see the above statement is failed. But if you give correct account number, let us say BR1, let me execute like this. Now you can go to message, the above statement is successful. This is the data that you're getting, and this is where the printing is going to be printing. Clear? Above statement is successful. Now you see the data as part of your results. Have you seen it? So like that, we can implement all these things. The last one is a fetch status. It returns zero if the fetch is successful. A lot of things are available. You go select and at the rate when you type it, not here. Let me open a new query window. Select when you type at the rate. Now you see connections, CPU busy, cursor rows, date first, DBT. A lot of things are error, page status, identity, idle, and language. So lot of things are available here. So next level options, package sent, row count, right? So row count, error, error, at the rate version. So these are the global variables that you can print. Okay. So these are the global variables that is available in all all SQL servers. You can use them clearly. So what is the local variable? What is the global variable? People may ask you. Local variable means that we are going to create and we are going to put the data in it. We are going to be using, these are read and write variables. Global variables are given by Microsoft, created with the help of at the rate symbol, and these are read-only variables, so we cannot write the data into it. We can only read the data from this. So example is select at the rate version, select at the rate server name, select at the rate row count. Am I clear? Thank you guys. Any questions? So tomorrow we'll see written statement, and we can also use global variables, and all these things you use, and you're going to be creating a beautiful stored procedures. Clear? So a lot of things you can use it. Then already you know how to use a print. Then if you understand how to use a loop, that's it. You can create a beautiful stored procedures. That's it. You should know local variable, global variable, if and else, written statement, loop, print, try catch blocks. Okay. If you know these 5 6 elements, you are good in writing a complex stored procedures. Clear? So what is a written? What is a loop? What is a try catch block? We'll discuss in next classes of stored procedures. So these are for stored procs only and functions also. Thank you guys. Bye bye.